talking to Katie Dickson, and we are in the magnificent gardens at Boone Hall. Katie, what a wonderful place to be a gardener.
I couldn't agree more.
And of course, this is a wonderful area that has all kinds of exhibits and things for people to come to see. And the garden, y'all have something blooming all year long.
We do. We consider ourselves a four-season garden, and we want to entertain our guests year-round.
And the backbone, in certain ways, is the Rose of Charleston.
That's right. So we're very proud to feature a historic rose collection, and that includes antique roses, teas, hybrids, floribundas, as well as the famed noisette rose.
Yes.
So we're very proud of that.
And the gardens are laid out in a beautiful pattern that resembles a butterfly. And I think the house, of course, is an original and was built in the
That would be the 1930s.
But then tell me about the garden, because I think it's such a fun story.
Yeah, so the garden followed the construction of the current house that you see behind us. But the gardens were actually installed by a Georgian nobleman. His name was Dmitri Georgiadze, say that 5 times, to make his wife Audrey happy. He married a heiress from Ohio. So he got himself an American wife, and they loved horses, and they housed their horses here. But she really wanted a pleasure garden, so that's what we're standing in.
And so let's talk about the layout of the garden and how it reflects what is so happily happening here, which is lots of pollinators and larval food sources and all kinds of things.
Pretty cool, right? So the shape of the 2 garden halves, like you alluded to, form gossamer wings of a butterfly, and they're bisected down the middle by the mansion driveway.
Yes.
So truly from above, it looks like this, curvy butterfly.
And the beautiful house is the head.
And the house forms the head of the butterfly.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's also tons of pollinator activity going on a microscopic scale. We've got all kinds of native bees, honeybees. You'll see in the morning time.
I saw some
wasps.
daytime moths out.
Absolutely.
It's just
skippers.
everything.
Yeah.
And I think what is so exciting is that when you group things the way you do, that helps the pollinators, because if different pollinators like different plants and the foods that they provide. And so you have like a wonderful, they get like 20 lobsters all at one time that are to fly all over looking for their favorite food.
Exactly right. Thank you for that point. That concentrating their favorite foods makes it so much easier to navigate to. And especially it's so fun in the morning to see the hummingbirds, dive bombing the plants.
Course,
and
yes.
they're after the more trumpet-shaped flowers.
Certainly.
But maybe the butterflies and skippers are after the zinnias and the disc-shaped flowers.
And then I saw the fennel was just completely eaten up, which is exactly what we want, because that's the larval food source.
That's exactly right. So, you might go by and see some areas that look a little grazed or a little, bitten up, but we do have a certain tolerance for that, because it's part of supporting pollinators.
Of course.
Yeah.
And one of the things I think is that one of the gardens on both sides, you have a moon-shaped garden. Is that right?
That's right. So we have 2 beds that are very lunar. They're very crescent-shaped, and traditionally they're kept as a monochromatic white palette, just to make these pure white moons in the garden.
But there's nothing monochromatic when you look around elsewhere. But you kind of have a theme, a little bit of hot colors or cool colors. Talk to me a little bit about how you go about deciding what you're going to concentrate in each different area.
Exactly right. So I came on about a year ago as the head horticulturist, and I inherited a great base map. So it was kind of a great scavenger map to start with, and it gave me ideas of what color families belong in what beds. And I do want to honor that and kind of honor the work of former horticulturists. So we do concentrate, right now, hot, bright red and orange coleus in one bed, and then it kind of will transition into a nice bed of, blues and purples and whites that have a more calming effect.
And then I think it's so much fun, the new things that are coming out, the ornamental peppers, and the colors of the foliage.
Yes, there are some loud peppers. We have a great tricolor purpley pepper. The Acapulco series has these candy-like tricolor peppers. So we have a lot of fun with fruits and foliage, and we're not scared to experiment.
And then I have never seen such a gajunga castor bean plant, and it's purple to boot.
It is. It's the maroon foliage strain of castor bean, and we didn't quite expect it to get so big.
Well, it exceeded your expectations.
It did, and I wonder if some of that is attributed to all the great rain we've had. We had an unexpectedly really tropical summer, and things have just sprung up.
And of course, you have under the ground irrigation. You don't use overhead sprinklers.
That's correct. Yeah. So we do have basically an invisible irrigation system, and we're able to be good stewards of water and turn it off if we see a thundercloud in the distance. That goes off.
And another thing that I admire so much is that to encourage the pollinators, you're so careful about the use of pesticides. And when you pull plants out, because you change, this is it's going to be full of collard greens and mustards and all kinds of wonderful cabbages and things as when we finally have fall. And you have a wonderful relationship with the local newspaper, and you put down, instead of having to recycle the newspaper, you can use it here as a weed suppressant.
Exactly. We're so grateful for that relationship. City paper is long been celebrated in Charleston, and occasionally they'll have stacks of extra paper, and we're able to lay that down 3 or 4 sheets thick. We saturate it really well with a hose, and then we can punch our annuals in from there, and then that creates this great weed barrier.
It's just wonderful.
It's
well,
great.
Tell me some of the things that we ought to share, some of the fun things that are in bloom right now that we ought to be sure to get pictures of and share with our viewers.
Certainly. So some of the maybe most commented on flowers of interest would be our Egyptian starflower. The pentas has tons of insect activity on it. The gomphrena are those gumball-like flowers, and those are just really whimsical and fun. We've got tons of zinnias, marigolds, all those things that are kind of in the aster family.
And then the purple thing on the vine.
Yes,
the vining purple.
Beautiful blue butterfly vine.
Exquisite.
Kind of rare, but yeah, that's definitely a showstopper. And of course, our roses are doing kind of their early fall flush, if you will.
One of the things is a lot of the brides walk down this beautiful central area, and instead of recycling tires for a flower bed, you've used something just so magical that is from the house. Please tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is a credit to a teammate of mine. Nina had the idea to make a bird nest flower bed out of old recycled shingles, those kind of traditional Spanish clay roofing shingles. And we just had a pallet of it sitting there doing nothing. So we ended up making these pretty marvelous flower beds.
And I can't think of a more beautiful place for a bride to stroll towards a very, very happy future. I think getting married in this magical place with all the love that's put into it by everyone who works here would certainly be an auspicious beginning to a life together. Katie, thank you so much. This has just been a delight.
I so appreciate you being here. Thank you.